Good morning, everybody. Merry Christmas. It is so good to have you joining us this morning, this last Sunday of 2021. So why don't we give it all we've got today? Jesus is so worthy of it. So wherever you are, lift up your voice, lift up your hands, lift up your song, because our King Jesus, He is here, He is present, and He deserves it all. So Lord Jesus, we love you, we welcome you, we worship you today. Thank you for your love, thank you for your faithfulness. Your love endures forever and ever. We give thanks to the Lord, our God and King. His love endures forever. For He is good, He is above all things. His love endures forever. Sing praise, sing praise. With a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, His love endures forever. For the life that's been reborn, His love endures forever. We sing praise, we sing praise, sing praise, we sing praise. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong, forever God is with us, forever. From the rising to the setting sun, His love endures forever. And by the grace of God, we will carry on. His love endures forever. We sing praise, we sing praise, sing praise. 'Cause you are worthy, God. Sing praise, sing praise. Forever God is faithful, forever God is strong,
In Joshua 4, we read about Joshua that was leading the Israelites across the Jordan River to do battle at Jericho. Now the river was in flood and it was dangerously high and very swiftly moving. So as the Ark of the Covenant was carried into it, God stopped the flow of the water and it stacked like a wall. And then 40,000 warriors armed with battle and the entire nation of Israel crossed over. That's about 2 million people, and the water just stood suspended. Once they've crossed safely, God told Joshua to choose 12 men and each of them to select one stone, one for each tribe of Joshua, and they built a memorial with these 12 stones. It says in Joshua 4 verse 6, to serve as a sign among you in the future when your children ask you, what do these stones mean? Tell them that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever. An altar of remembrance. We read about this thing quite often in the Bible. There's also Jacob in Genesis 28. He went to sleep and in a dream he saw angels, and the Lord spoke to him and made him a promise. He said, I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I have promised you. So the next morning Jacob knew this was a pretty special place, and in order to remember it, he took a rock, set it up as a pillar, poured some oil over it, and he gave it a new name. Now there are lots more examples, like when God promised that he would always be with Jacob in Genesis 28, when God rescued Jacob from Esau in Genesis 33, and again in Genesis 35, when God defeated the Amalekites in Exodus 17, when God gave the 10 Commandments to Moses in Exodus 24, and so the list goes on. So it seems that God often told his people to do something intentionally to remember the great works that he's done. So God knows how we sometimes tend to remember the bad things that happen more easily. Now, there's actually a really good explanation for this phenomenon. You see, in stressful situations, our brain releases a stress hormone which tweaks a certain chemical receptor in our brain that lowers the threshold of learning. So it's easier to make memories. Now our brain does this simply to help us remember what happened in order to avoid this similar situations in the future. So God actually reminds us often in the Bible to do something intentionally to remember the good things that God has done for us, the miracles, the promises. In 1 Chronicles 16 verse 12 he says, remember his marvelous works which he has done, his wonders and the judgments of his mouth. Now I don't know about you, but if I look back on this last year, I sort of tend to think that it was a horrible year. But if I stop for a moment, intentionally, I remember all the great things that God has done this year. Now for me, I would much rather reflect on the good things that God has done, thanking God for those, being grateful for the miracles that I've experienced, for the good things that happens, the promises God made to me. Because that sets me up to go into the new year with an attitude of gratitude. Isn't that right, Pete?
Yes, absolutely. As we look at these things, there's not only the social reason, getting your family to remember with you, building that relationship with your children and your relatives, and having that point of contact where you can explain what God has done for you. And the neurological thing of that, the way your brain works and functions, as Diana's explained. Mm-hmm. But there's also a strong spiritual reason for us to remember the good things. And that is, as we remember the good things, we tend to position ourselves in a place where we prepare for another miracle, where we prepare our hearts and our minds to receive that which God has for us, that we begin to focus on Him and what He is doing, rather than on the world and what it is saying. We tend to listen more to the Holy Spirit than we do to the news, and we tend to see that opportunity for God's hand to move in our situation. So I want to encourage you this morning that as we prepare for a new year, that you go now and take some time, not by yourself, but with God, to remember that which he has done in your world over the last 12 months. Those little things and those big things that maybe you've suddenly realized how important a family relationship is for you. You may have been in a situation where you have seen God's hand move in a more profound way than that. But whatever it is that you have seen, now's the time to do what they call count your blessings. List out the things that God has done. You can do that practically if you want to. You can write yourself a list. You can build your own memorial to what God has done in your life over 2021. So that as you prepare for 2022, you position yourself for a miracle. You position yourself to be available to Him, to see what God is doing round about you, rather than be focused on what the world is saying or what people are saying about what is happening about you. Be focused on what God is saying to you. This prepares you for a place where the best is yet to come in your world, where you can expect a greater future than you had a past, where your eyes can rest on those things and rest on the creator of the universe, expecting Him to move on your behalf, expecting Him to work on your behalf and to move with you. So why don't you just right now, take some time, remember that which He has done, and position yourself for the miracle He has for you as you go into this new year. Because I believe as you do that, God is preparing a series of miracles for you that He is laying out like a path in front of you for you to walk on this year coming. Walk into this new year expecting a miracle.
When I was down, you brought me out and set my feet on higher ground. So here I stand, you are my God, your faithfulness, my solid rock.